Welcome to the Forensic Financialist, where we simplify business and leadership challenges and choose the road that leads to wisdom and excellence. We discuss tough issues facing business and figure out easy-to-implement solutions. Using the rear-view mirror approach, we look in the rear view to move towards a brighter future. Here's your host, Jeff Newkirk.
Welcome to the Forensic Financialist, where we aim to improve your business and help you grow both personally and professionally. I'm your host, Jeff Newkirk. Today is part 3 of our 3-part series on discussing core values. We're going to talk today about 3 of my core values: humility, accountability, and integrity. You may remember from previous episodes I discussed 4 of my 7 core values, and those were serving others, having faith, being compassionate, and being a lifelong learner, the triple L. Recall that core values are those principles or rules, as Tony Robbins puts it, that we live by. All of our decisions and how we live our lives every day are based on our own core values. So whether we go through the process of developing what those core values are, or we just kind of go through each day and make whatever decisions we make, we have our core values, whether we say it explicitly or not. So my purpose in presenting my core values is not to preach, not at all. Instead, I want to use my core values as examples of what may or may not work or apply to your own life. The key is that you need to have the core values. You need to know what they are. And whatever they are, well, that's going to be up to you. Now, like I said in previous episodes, I'm not going to reference anyone else's work here. There's a lot of great work out there, a lot of great research. Leaders have said a lot of good things on core values, but I just want you to get it straight from me. I just want you to learn what my core values are and how, hopefully, they might apply to your life. So let's first talk about accountability. What does it mean to be accountable? Has anyone ever asked you if you are accountable or not? Have you ever worked with someone who didn't follow through on what they said that they would do? Or do you have any friends who might say, yeah, I'm absolutely going to do that. I'm going to do that for sure. But then they don't. Is that being accountable? What if they say, I'm going to definitely call you next week, but they don't? Are they being accountable? Accountability is simply the occurrence of when actions equal the words that are spoken. So when you say you're going to do something and you do it, you're being accountable. One reason I have such high regard for our military, law enforcement, firefighters, healthcare workers is that when they say they're going to do something, they do it. They have to follow through. Remember the classic movie A Few Good Men? One of my favorite all-time movies. And in the courtroom scene, towards the end of the movie, Tom Cruise, playing an attorney, Lieutenant Daniel Kaffee, is questioning the very highly regarded Marine, Colonel Nathan R. Jessup, played by Jack Nicholson. Lieutenant Kaffee is asking Colonel Jessup some rather irritating questions. And Colonel Jessup then asks him, Lieutenant Kaffee, a few questions. And I quote, "Have you ever served in an infantry unit, son? Have you ever served in a forward area? Put your life in another man's hands? Asked him to put his life in yours?" Well, that's interesting questioning, isn't it? And I can't say that I agree in the least bit with Code Reds, because that's what that was leading to in the movie. But I want to emphasize the accountability at stake here. If certain orders aren't followed in a military situation, people can die. They follow orders because if they don't, significant harm can result. And as Colonel Nathan R. Jessup said, it's that simple. When there is a fire and you call 911, chances are pretty good that firefighters are going to come to put out the fire. Several years ago, we had to call 911 at 3 a.m. because our furnace started a small fire. The local fire department and police responded within minutes, and we were safe. They were accountable. So it is pretty simple. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. If you don't think you'll be able to follow through, well, then communicate that. If you have accountability, you will establish credibility. Let me say that again. If you have accountability, you will establish credibility. And then the converse is also true. If you don't follow through, your credibility will suffer. Now, let's talk humility. What does it mean to be humble? Let me ask this question. Have you ever known someone who was preoccupied with letting you know and everybody else know all of their accomplishments and their social status? Well, why is that? If someone has to continually tell you how great they are, well, guess what? They probably aren't that great. What does it take to maintain humility? I think it takes some very specific behaviors and attitudes. Let's break it down. First, you have to realize that you don't have all the answers. Boy, would I like all the answers. Make life so much easier, right? But we don't have all the answers. We don't know everything. You must always seek greater knowledge. If you don't, you will never grow as a person. If you think you have all the answers, I hate to break it to you, but you don't. Be open to learning. Second, you need to forgive. And man, is this a tough one. Has someone ever been really mean to you? I mean, really mean. Have you ever been incredibly hurt? Okay, let's take this a step further now. Has anyone ever hurt someone you care about? That's sort of my line in the sand. I can deal with people being mean to me, but when people hurt others who I care about, like my family, my wife, my kids, that's a tough one. But being humble means that you are forgiving. If you're like me, this is going to be something I'm going to have to work on. But we must forgive. And let me say that one more time, probably for my own benefit mostly. We must forgive. Third, don't judge. Being humble means that you aren't going to judge other people and their circumstance. We all do this. We all judge, and don't say that you don't because you do. But we shouldn't. We don't know somebody else's position or their circumstance. You may think you do, but you don't. You don't know everything, so don't judge. Fourth, find peace. Having peace with your situation requires humility. Now, I'm not saying to be complacent or satisfied with where you're at. No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that you need to accept your current situation. Don't deny reality. Understand where you are. Know where you want to go. And take the steps to get there. It's not easy to be humble. Can you name 10 people who you think are humble? Go ahead. Name 10. Not easy to come up with 10 people. I don't think it is. The one person that comes to mind, though, for me, is the Pope. Pope Francis is likely the most humble person alive today. I mean, he appears to be at peace, obviously forgiving, non-judgmental, and he seems to be receptive to learning, being a lifelong learner. Mother Teresa, another one that comes to mind. Okay, now if you said the Kardashians, I'm going to say that you weren't listening. Okay, let's move on to the last core value. Integrity. Like accountability, integrity says you are as good as your word. If you are an integrous person, and I love that word, integrous, if you're an integrous person, you live by a certain set of values and rules, and you follow them. There is no negotiation. You follow them. If you say you're going to get up early every day and exercise, but you don't, are you an integrous person? If you don't pay your taxes on time, or you don't pick up the groceries when you said you would, are you acting with integrity? What about when you say you're going to call somebody, but you don't? What about that? Is that being a person with integrity? I think no matter how small the task or how big the promise, if you don't follow through on your word, you are not acting with integrity. It's as simple as that. Remember the old movie? Well, I guess it's not that old, but it was in 2011. It was called Courageous. And in that movie, Mr. Javier Martinez, played by actor Robert Amaya, in the movie, he's offered a promotion at his work. Now he's working hard to support his family. A promotion would be really, really good for his family. And he's called into his supervisor's office, and his supervisor basically says, okay, Mr. Martinez, you've got this promotion, but I want you to know that we're going to get a shipment on Friday, and in that shipment are going to be 17 crates. But I want you to report 16. So Mr. Martinez sort of hesitates and goes home that night, talks to his wife, and it's a tough situation because he's going to make more money with his promotion, but he's being asked to be dishonest. What is he going to do? Well, Mr. Martinez decides against the promotion. He says that he would not be honoring himself or his God. Well, the good news is that's exactly the answer that they wanted to hear, and he did get the promotion. But let me ask you, have you ever been asked to do something that would go against your word? Have you ever been asked to compromise your ethics or your morals for some short-term gain? It's an easy answer, right? But it's pretty tough to live by. I aspire to be a person with integrity every day. So, there you go. Those are my 7 core values. Serve others, have faith, be compassionate, live the triple L, lifelong learner, be accountable, remain humble, and have integrity. So what are your core values? What are those very basic principles that you live by every day and aspire to maintain no matter what the situation? Are you willing to negotiate any of those core values? Or are you unwilling to negotiate? Are you willing to make sure that those values are going to make you a better person? Or are you sort of looking at maybe becoming a better person? Only you're going to be able to decide what those core values are for you. Only you. And only you can decide what is going to help you every day to guide your decision making, to help you make those very difficult decisions and help you live a better life. So I'm going to wrap up with 2 suggestions. First, if you have to think about a core value or what your core values are for a long time, it's not a core value. Core values are those principles that come to mind easily and are important to you. You shouldn't have to think long and hard about them. And 2, they should push you. They should help you progress to the person you want to be. None of us are perfect, nor will we ever be perfect. But having a set of core values helps to guide us towards improvement, towards growth, towards being that better person. I hope these 3 episodes on core values have been thought-provoking and meaningful to you. As always, I'm grateful that you listened, and if you feel compelled to follow me, that would be awesome. As always, I hope you received at least one nugget of information that was helpful, and maybe even got a little inspired. If you'd like to discuss core values further, or consulting or coaching, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. My website is www.pembusinessconsulting.com. That's www.pembusinessconsulting.com, or just email me at info@pembusinessconsulting.com. Again, I hope to hear from you. Make it a great day and make tomorrow even better. Peace, everyone.
You've been listening to the Forensic Financialist, where we simplify business and leadership challenges and choose the road that leads to wisdom and excellence. To learn more about Jeff, visit his website at understandablesolutions.com or email Jeff at jeff@understandablesolutions.com. Mentioning this podcast will get you a complimentary discovery session with Jeff. Until next time.